Everyone laughed when a 16-year-old brought home a rusted, abandoned van, but no one imagined it would return to the streets as a powerful police car that would change his life forever. Hello everyone. Before we begin, become part of our YouTube family by subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to like this video and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is in your country. Now, let's dive into the story. At 16, life felt like a long road going nowhere. Every morning, I woke up to the same cracked ceiling, the same noise of traffic outside our small apartment, and the same feeling that nothing exciting would ever happen to me. School felt heavy, like I was carrying a backpack filled with doubts instead of books. Teachers talked about futures, careers, and dreams, but none of it felt real for someone like me. My family struggled financially, and most days, I helped my father with small repair jobs, just to add a little money to the house. I never imagined that something abandoned and forgotten would become the turning point of my entire life. One afternoon, while walking home through an industrial area near the edge of town, I noticed an old warehouse I had never paid attention to before. The place looked silent, almost frozen in time. Rusted gates leaned sideways, weeds pushed through broken concrete, and the air smelled of oil and dust. As I passed by, something caught my eye behind a stack of metal barrels. It was a van old, faded, and clearly abandoned. Curiosity pulled me closer. The vehicle was a Ford Transit, but it barely looked like one anymore. The paint had peeled away in patches, revealing layers of rust underneath. One tire was completely flat, and the windows were cloudy with dirt. The inside looked worse: torn seats, scattered wires, and empty bottles rolled across the floor. Anyone else would have walked away without a second thought. But I didn't. Standing there, I felt something strange. Like the van and I shared the same story, ignored, underestimated, and left behind. I returned the next day, and the day after that. Eventually, I asked a nearby mechanic about it. He laughed and told me the van had been sitting there for years, abandoned after its owner's business shut down. "It's scrap," he said, "not worth the effort." Those words stayed in my mind. But instead of discouraging me, they sparked something stubborn inside me. What if it wasn't scrap? What if it just needed someone who believed in it? I spoke to the warehouse owner, expecting him to refuse, but he surprised me. He said if I could move it, I could have it. To him, it was nothing more than junk taking up space. To me, it suddenly felt like opportunity. Getting the van home was the first challenge. With help from my father and a borrowed tow rope, we slowly dragged it through the streets. People stared as we struggled, some smiling, others shaking their heads. I could almost hear their thoughts. Another kid wasting time on something useless. But I didn't care. For the first time in months, I felt excited to wake up the next morning. The restoration began with cleaning. Hours turned into days as I removed trash, scrubbed surfaces, and vacuumed layers of dust that seemed endless. My hands ached, and grease stained my clothes permanently. I watched videos online late at night, learning basic mechanics from strangers who didn't even know they were teaching me. Every small success felt huge: removing a rusted bolt, fixing a loose wire, or simply opening a door that had been stuck for years. There were moments when I wanted to quit. Sometimes parts broke unexpectedly, and I didn't have money to replace them. Sometimes rain filled the van before I could seal the roof properly. Friends invited me out, but I stayed behind, choosing the van over everything else. Slowly, people around me began to notice my dedication. My father started helping more, showing me tricks he had learned from years of repair work. Those evenings working together became some of the happiest moments we had shared in a long time. As weeks passed, the van began to change. Rust disappeared under fresh primer. The engine, once silent, coughed back to life after countless attempts. The first time it started, even for a few seconds, I felt a rush of pride stronger than anything I had ever experienced. It wasn't just a machine coming alive. It felt like proof that effort could transform something broken. Neighbors who once laughed began stopping by to watch. Some offered advice, others simply admired the progress. Their reactions fueled my motivation. Each improvement made me imagine what the van could become. I didn't want it to be ordinary. I wanted it to stand out, to tell a story. Late one night, sitting inside the half-restored vehicle, I realized something important. The van wasn't just a project anymore. It had given me structure, patience, and confidence. Before this, I had no clear direction, but now every day had meaning. I woke up with goals and went to sleep planning the next step. The abandoned Ford Transit had already started changing my life, even before it was fully restored. It taught me that value isn't decided by appearance or age, but by effort and belief. While others saw rust and failure, I saw possibility. And deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning of something much bigger than I could imagine as the weeks turned into months. The restoration of the van became more than just a hobby. It became my routine, my escape, and my identity. Every afternoon after school, I rushed home, changed into old clothes, and stepped outside where the Ford Transit waited patiently in our small driveway. The sound of tools clicking and metal scraping replaced the noise of television and idle conversations. I wasn't wasting time anymore. I was building something with my own hands. The mechanical work was the hardest part. The engine refused to cooperate, and many nights ended with frustration. I remember sitting on the ground, staring at greasy parts, wondering if I had taken on something too big, but quitting never felt right. Each problem forced me to learn. I searched online forums, watched tutorials repeatedly, and even visited local mechanics to ask questions. Some ignored me, but others respected my determination and shared small pieces of advice that made a big difference. One mechanic gave me old spare parts for free after seeing how serious I was. Another showed me how to properly reconnect damaged wiring. These small acts of kindness slowly shaped the project. Piece by piece, the van improved. The brakes worked again. The headlights flickered back to life. Even the dashboard lights glowed faintly, like the vehicle was waking up after a long sleep. One evening, while cleaning the interior, an idea suddenly came to me. I didn't just want to restore the van. I wanted to transform it into something unforgettable. I had always admired police vehicles growing up. They looked strong, purposeful, and respected. The thought seemed crazy at first, but the more I imagined it, the more excited I became. Turning the old Transit into a police-style vehicle would make it unique. I began planning everything carefully. I sketched designs in a notebook, deciding where stripes would go and how the lights should look. With limited money, creativity became my greatest tool. I used affordable paint, handmade stencils, and recycled materials. Painting took several days, and mistakes forced me to repaint entire sections. But slowly, the dull van transformed into something bold and striking. Installing lights was another challenge. I studied wiring diagrams and carefully connected switches inside the cabin. The first time the lights flashed, reflecting off nearby walls, I couldn't stop smiling. It felt unreal. The abandoned vehicle that once looked hopeless now looked powerful and alive. Word began spreading around the neighborhood. Kids gathered to watch the progress, and adults stopped to ask questions. Some were shocked that a teenager had done most of the work alone. Their curiosity motivated me even more. I started recording short videos of the process using my phone, mostly to document the journey for myself. Driving the van for the first time after months of effort was unforgettable. My hands shook as I turned the key. The engine started smoothly, and I slowly drove down the street. People turned their heads, surprised by the transformation. The once forgotten van now demanded attention. Cars slowed down, and pedestrians pointed at the flashing lights and fresh paint. That moment changed how I saw myself. I wasn't just a confused teenager anymore. I was someone capable of creating something meaningful. Confidence replaced hesitation. I began thinking bigger. Maybe I could restore other vehicles someday. Maybe even build a career from it. The videos I uploaded online started receiving unexpected attention. Comments poured in from strangers praising the transformation. Some asked for advice, while others shared their own stories of rebuilding old vehicles. For the first time, I felt connected to a community beyond my neighborhood. Each notification felt like encouragement pushing me forward. I improved the interior, added organized storage, and cleaned every detail carefully. The van became more than transportation. It became proof of persistence. By the time the transformation was complete, the Ford Transit looked nothing like the abandoned wreck I had first discovered. Standing beside it, I realized the journey had changed me just as much as it had changed the vehicle. I had learned patience, discipline, and creativity, lessons no classroom had ever taught me. What started as curiosity had become passion, and passion was slowly opening doors I never knew existed. The van was no longer just metal and paint. It represented effort, growth, and the belief that transformation is always possible. When someone refuses to give up, the day everything changed began like any other. I woke up early, checked my phone, and saw dozens of notifications. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Messages kept appearing faster than I could read them. One of my videos showing the transformation of the Ford Transit had suddenly gone viral overnight. Views climbed into thousands, then hundreds of thousands. People from different countries were watching something I had built in my small driveway. I felt disbelief mixed with excitement. Comments flooded in praising the creativity and dedication behind the project. Some viewers shared how the story inspired them to start their own projects. Others asked how a 16-year-old managed to complete such a transformation. Reading their words made me realize that my journey meant something beyond myself. Local news pages contacted me asking for interviews. Neighbors who barely knew my name before now congratulated me warmly. Even my teachers at school noticed the attention and encouraged me to continue pursuing mechanical work. For the first time, I felt seen and appreciated for something I truly loved doing. Opportunities followed quickly. A nearby workshop invited me to learn professionally as an apprentice. They had seen my work online and believed I had real potential. Walking into that workshop for the first time felt like stepping into a future I never imagined possible, surrounded by tools, engines, and experienced mechanics. I realized the abandoned van had opened a door to a career. People also began requesting small repair jobs and custom paint work. I earned my first real money doing something I enjoyed. Each payment felt different from any job I had done before because it came from skill and creativity. I saved carefully, planning future projects and dreaming bigger than ever. The police-style transit became a symbol in my town. Children asked to take pictures beside it, and drivers waved when they saw it pass by. Instead of feeling invisible, I now felt connected to my community. The van carried not only tools, but also memories of hard work, failure, and persistence. My relationship with my family improved too. My parents looked at me with pride instead of worry. Conversations at home shifted from concerns about my future to excitement about possibilities ahead. My father often reminded me how determination could change destiny. And now, I finally understood what he meant. The journey also taught me responsibility. Fame, even small local recognition, came with expectations. I focused on improving my skills rather than chasing attention. I continued documenting projects honestly, showing mistakes as well as successes. People appreciated authenticity, and my online audience continued to grow steadily. Sometimes I visited the old warehouse where I first found the van. Standing there, I remembered the moment when everyone saw only scrap metal while I saw potential. That memory kept me grounded. It reminded me that transformation begins with belief. Belief in an object, an idea, or even yourself. At 16, I had felt lost, unsure of who I would become. Restoring the abandoned Ford Transit gave me direction, confidence, and purpose. It proved that change doesn't require perfect conditions or expensive tools. It starts with action, curiosity, and persistence. Today, whenever I sit behind the steering wheel, I don't just see a customized vehicle. I see late nights filled with effort, lessons learned through failure, and a version of myself that refused to give up. The van changed my life not because it became a police-style car, but because it showed me what I was capable of achieving, and every time the engine starts, it reminds me that even something forgotten can begin again stronger, brighter, and ready for a completely new journey.